What's up, guys? It's Jane here from Revive Ministries. As we get the channel kicked off, we want to start off by talking about the central feature of God's character, love, right? Love is in everything that God does from the very beginning of the Bible to the very end. And we just want to take a moment to lay a firm foundation, understanding of what love is, where it comes from, and how we can live out the love that Christ has given to us to other people. So stay with us as we talk about the central feature of God's character, love. It might be impossible to go throughout our day and not hear the word love at least once, right? I love my job. I love my kids. I love my spouse. I love vanilla ice cream. I love Indianapolis Colts, right? Fill in the blank. We hear the word love all the time, but a lot of us throw this term around. We don't understand the capacity and magnitude of what love really is. 1 John 4:8 says, "For anyone who does not love does not know God, for God is love." Therefore, the essence and capacity of love is God, for God is love. It doesn't get too much more straightforward than that, right? And we look at the greatest love story of all time, right? The cross. Look at the cross. That is the greatest love story of all time. The creator of the universe, God, came down, walked along our side, suffered along our side for 33 years just to get nailed to a tree. He paid the price of a debt that he did not owe. Romans 8:17 talks about being heirs of Christ, right? He paid the price in full. We get his full inheritance. Romans 5:8. For even when we were still sinners, Christ died for us. He died for us, knowing that we would nail him back on that cross day after day after day, knowing that we would be unloyal. This is the greatest sacrifice ever. Paying the price for something that you did not owe, knowing that the person that you paid the price for would wake up every single morning and oftentimes not choose you, not to choose to pursue you, not choose to love you the way that you love them back. Because God is madly in love with us. He's obsessed with us. And this is evident through the entire gospel story, right? He is madly in love with you. And yet we wake up every single morning, and so often we choose things outside of him. We choose things of the flesh, right? We choose things that satisfies right now. What's something tangible that I can have right now that makes me feel good apart from God, right? What can I have right now in this moment? We choose to follow our own passions, our own dreams, our own desires that leads from paths that take us further away from God, right? And the craziest thing is that we listen to the voices of other people to prove our self-worth. How much am I worth to other people, right? When in reality, God proved how much we're worth on the cross. Your self-worth was validated on the cross. So why do we look any further than the pinnacle moment of the greatest love story ever to see how much we are truly loved? And God has been proven how much he's loved us time and time again in other aspects of the Bible, right? The first choice ever was a reflection of God's love, God's free will. God gave us free will to love, right? Love has to have choice. You can't be forced to love something, right? The very nature of love is that you choose to love it. You choose to pursue it, right? So God introduced free will for that reason. He's a relational God. He wants us to love him back, right? What father does not want their kid to love them back? So God introduced free will for this reason. I can't walk up to somebody and hold a gun to their head and say, "Do you love me?" And they say yes. That doesn't mean they love me, right? That means they're forced to love me. So God, in order for us to love him back, and in order for us to be relational with him the way that he wants us to be, he had to introduce free will. He had to give us a choice to love him back. And as a result of him giving us free will, he limits his own power, right? And the result of him giving us the ability to have a choice, he limits his ability to control because he respects us. He honors us. He doesn't want us to be some cookie cutter, snap his fingers, we all sit upright, controlled creatures that can't pursue him outside of what he forces us to do. He created us with uniqueness. And this might be one of the most beautiful aspects of our creation is how unique we are. He knows us inside and out more than we know ourselves. It talks about in Psalms, right? Lord, seek out my heart. Reveal to me my iniquities, right? He knows us more than we know ourselves. All of his creation is known inside and out. He has an intellectual mind, an intellectual heart that pursues us, right? He pursues us and knows us more than we know ourselves. And he chooses to do this, right? No one's twisting God's arm and saying, you have to love these broken people who are going to turn their back on you every single day and reject even knowing you, right? God chooses to seek us out. He loves us, right? He knows us inside and out because he has searched us inside out, because he pursues us, because he is madly in love with us. And this is a concept that a lot of us don't wrap our heads around completely, right? It's how God is pursuing us by choice. He sacrificed himself. Love is choice. Love is sacrifice, right? Love is God, because God chooses to love us, and God made the ultimate sacrifice, right? The pinnacle moment of the greatest love story ever, the cross. So what are some takeaways from today's video? 1, God loves you. If I didn't make this clear enough, hit unsubscribe. Don't watch any more of our videos because the entire point of today's video was to show you how much God loves you, right? God, who is perfect, took on the flesh to live and die for imperfect men who would turn their back on him every single day. If that's not the greatest act of love ever, nothing is, okay? 2, love is choice, okay? God introduced free will. That way we can choose to love him back. There's no growth in a relationship unless the love is mutual. You know why? Because love is choice. You choose a relationship. You're not forced into a relationship, right? You choose to have a relationship with that person. 3, the entire backdrop of the Bible is love. Every story in the Bible is rooted in love. From the very first choice ever to the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ and everything after, the backdrop is love. 4, God is love. Okay. 1 John 4:8 talks about how God is love. God is love because he sacrificed himself for us, right? Love is sacrifice because he chooses to know us inside and out, because he chooses to pursue us. God is madly in love with you. And once you understand this concept, and once you understand how steadfast the love of God really is, because like I said, Romans 5:8, right? That while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. It doesn't matter what we do, we can never be separated from God's love. There's so much beauty in this, right? Knowing that there's nothing that can separate us from the love of God. Go take a look at Romans 8:38 and 39, okay? It lists all these things that people think will separate them from the love of God, and it says it will not. Okay, so if you take one thing away from today's video, know that God loves you. Know that your creator loves you, okay? Know that he's madly in love with you. Know that in your darkest moments, the moments that you feel like you let him down, he looks at you and says, you were worth it. You were worth every single whipping. You were worth every single nail that pierced his skin, every single beating, every single person who spat on him, kicked him. You're worth the cross that he carried for several miles on a back that his spine was showing. That's how much he loves you, that he did all that, knowing that even in your darkest moments, he loves you just the same, right? So go out this week, be blessed, know that God loves you, and show that love to other people, right? Show that transformation. Show others how much God loves them.